I pressed the wrong scene. And everything crashed when I started the stream. Hold on. Hi, Joe! And Phil. Where are we? Darkness. Ah! I didn't realize that everything crashed. Hold on. I thought that only OBS crashed, but it was everything. What the heck is my... I want my books, please. I want my books. Hi. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I updated my graphics card. I mean, my graphic drivers. And so I think it's been a little stinky binky. Hello! I don't have my glasses on. I can't see. Oh, my glasses. Oops. I'm pretty sure it was this. Aha! I knew it. Yes. I'm intelligent now. I was late to work because I couldn't find my glasses. Oh, no. Yeah, I can't work with... I mean, I can't read Warrior Cats without my glasses either. I need them to see all the cats and the little meow meows. How's the... There is no sound. Okay, that's cool. How's the bird sound? There's none. There's none bird sound. I want bird sound, please. Oh my goodness. Can you hear it? Is it good? No birds, only cats? What the? Ow, wow, wow, wow. Hi, Cordy! Hi, Cordy, Cordy, Cordy! Cats are fighting in the background. They really are. Alright guys, I'm gonna give you a little rundown about what happened so we can finish this book today. We're definitely gonna finish it. So last time was quite exciting. I read extra because that's how exciting it was. So I don't actually remember what led up to it. What led up to it? Oh, Soul arrived. Okay, so the point that I remember is all of a sudden Holly Paw saw this cat on the horizon, a silhouette of a cat, and she was like, oh my god, it's a lion. And then everybody made fun of her. And she was like, me. And then that lion cat arrived at the camp, and he was like, hey guys, I'm Soul. I've meant to come here to say hi. I have information for you. And everybody was like, they kind of were aghast, I'd like to say. Aghast. Unsure how to respond to this really handsome large cat that arrived and just knew about them and knew about like the structures of things. And then wanted to talk to their medicine cats. And so he was like, I need to talk to your medicine cats. And so Leafpool and J-Paw went aside and they listened to him. And then he was like, yeah, the sun is going to disappear. Or no, actually, no, he didn't. He said there's going to be a darkness, but pretty much saying that the sun's going to disappear. Like there's going to be an overwhelming darkness. And then Leafpool was like, well, StarClan didn't tell me anything. And J-Paw was like, okay, well, I've been knowing that StarClan probably doesn't know everything, seeing as the Tribe of Rushing Water also doesn't know anything. And Soul was like, wait, you can only redeem this during a stream? Oh, everything crashed. Hold on. That's so funny. I think I fixed it too. Today I went and I fixed it. I hope, at least. Okay, now try. Yeah! I added a sound effect too. Thank you for your purchase. The sound effect brings it all together. Yeah, I thought so. I really liked it. I was thinking about like maybe like a little bell noise, but that's more associated with when you enter a room or a store. The cash register is really like you bought something. Okay, so yeah, J-Paul was like, well, StarClan doesn't know everybody. He didn't say this out loud. He said this in his head. And then Soul was like, well, StarClan doesn't know anything. And J-Paul was like, I know. Anyways, and they kind of like dismissed Soul's warning, and then Soul left. And wow. It really is quite cool. I know. I fixed it so it won't. It shouldn't do the thing that it was doing before. Was that like a little pinwheel drink? It kind of looked like it, didn't it? Like a little a bottle with a pinwheel sticking in it. It's quite interesting. I've never seen that one before. Soul is snickering in the background, I bet. Yeah, exactly. And then I guess Wind Clan has been like, oh wait, okay, so Wind Clan, they were smelling Wind Clan on their border, or they've been doing like extra patrols to make sure that Wind Clan wasn't on their border, and they weren't finding anything. But then Hollyleaf and Hollypaw, sorry. Hollypaw and Lionpaw found like a tunnel, like one of the tunnel entrances that they knew that existed, but they didn't really do anything about it. They just kind of was like, okay, well, there's a tunnel here. Cool. And then they went on. And then the action started. In the middle of the night, all of a sudden, Wind Clan attacked. And they just came into the hollow and they just fought them all. And it was crazy. And then Firestar like came out and he was like, what the heck, guys? And then One Star came out of the woodwork and was like, what? What is it? And then Firestar's like, what are you even doing? And then One Star was like, well, we're not like you, Firestar, weakened and we're not so like kind, or you know, like they were just kind of like really like full of themselves, like, we have real warriors, you have fake warriors, blah, 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 blah. And Firestar was like, well, are you looking for a fight? And then he was like, maybe we are. And then Firestar was like, fine, okay, sure. And then they left. And so Firestar was like, okay, guys, go follow the Wind Clan cats. See if they actually leave. Turns out they didn't leave. They separated into 3 different patrols and spread out. And so Firestar put out 3 different patrols and spread out because he's like, okay, well, now that there's 3 patrols on our turf. And so they split up and all started fighting. There were patrols and they they jumped on them. There was ambushed is the word. They ambushed the ThunderClan patrols. And so there were 3 battles going on at once in different parts of the territory. It was crazy. And then we found out River Clan also was coming in. And so Wind Clan had asked River Clan for help. And so River Clan cats were also helping in the battle. And ThunderClan was like straight up gonna like lose. But then luckily, Brambleclaw sent Hollypaw to go to get Shadow Clan's help, and Shadow Clan came to help Thunder Clan, and so that's what they did. And so Hollyleaf was fighting. Sorry, oh my god, I keep on spoiling it. Hollypaw was fighting with Brambleclaw's patrol. Lionpaw was fighting with Firestar's patrol, and Lionpaw went a little psycho crazy. He went a little nutso. he kind of scared a lot of cats. There was this one point he was like demolishing everybody. And this one point he had like one cat cornered, and he was like gaining on them. Like they were like already wounded, and he was like approaching them all like snarly. And then Firestar was like, Linepaw. And then he looked away, and then the cat ran away. And then Linepaw got mad at Firestar, and he was like, what do you think you're doing? Like, you let him escape. Like, why would you do that? And then Firestar's like, I think he knew that he lost. And Lionpaw was like, I don't know about that. And then, so they found out, right? So before the fighting started, they found out that Wind Clan was actually using the tunnels to scout out their area so that they could ambush them better. So Lionpaw, when he was going to help on the beach, I believe, he ran into, what was her name? Heatherpaw. He ran into Heatherpaw, and Heatherpaw and him had a little affair back in the day where they used the tunnels to meet up together. And so Lionpaw thinks it's her. She was the one who spilled the beans about the tunnels. So he grabs her, like literally just grabs her, pulls her off to the side, pins her down, and is like, why did you tell? And then she's like, I didn't tell. And then he was like, yeah, you did. Like, I don't believe you. You told. And then she was like, I didn't. I swear I didn't. It was a kid who did it. And then he was like, yeah, no, I don't believe you. So I'm going to make your life miserable from now on. You wanted an enemy. Now you got an enemy. And he had this like really good line where he was like, Heatherpaw can't even begin to understand the power and the responsibility that I have. And who could blame her? Like she wouldn't even know. It was so crazy, freaky. And then he lets her go after like threatening and being like, you're my enemy forever, and runs into Crowfeather. And Crowfeather's like, where's Heatherpaw? And then he's like, back there. And then he was like, what did you do to her? And then Lionpaw got mad and like attacked him like crazy, but like attacked him and like slit his throat, and like he had like blood bubbling out of his throat. It wasn't like deep enough to totally kill him, but he would have killed him if Heatherpaw hadn't jumped out of the bushes and like stopped him in time. Like crazy, like and then he didn't even he was kind of like, he was a little bit like, dang, I almost killed that guy. But that's as much as we got from him. He's also covered in blood. And so while that's happening, Hollypaw's busy fighting, and Jaypaw, who was kept at home, he was told that he was like, well, why don't I just go out and I'll help people. Like, I'll bring cats back that are injured, or I'll help them while they're on the battlefield. And Leafpool was like, but it's really dark out. And he was like, yeah, what? Uh-huh. Bamboo water cup. That's nice. He was like, yeah. And so she was like, oh, well, fair point. And so he went out and he went to go. It was kind of like he was meant to help heal people, but then when it came down to it, he kept on being sent to other patrols. So Bramwick was like, go tell Firestar, blah, 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 blah. And then he would go over there and then he would tell Firestar something. And then Firestar was like, well, go tell blah, 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 blah. And so he was like running around sending messages like a little pigeon. Yeah. And then the fight was like, it kept on going. And then all of a sudden, the sky was engulfed in darkness. It was passed on. Like they started fighting in the middle of the night, but then it became dawn. So the day had started. And then all of a sudden, it went quiet. And then the sun disappeared and everyone was engulfed in blackness. And everyone got so freaked out. They're like, oh my God, StarkLand's so mad at us right now, that they all like ran away to their own territories. And so the fight stopped and everybody rushed back into the ThunderClan camp and they were like, guys, where's the sun? It's gone. It's black. And then J-Paw was like, what's going on? Because he can't see. And they were trying to describe it to him and he was like, what do you even mean the sun's gone? They're like, the sun's gone. And then it started coming back. And that's where we left off. The fight has just ended. The sun disappeared. And now the sun is back. And that's what's happened. Have a little sippy. And then we'll begin. Chapter 17. I might be a little stumbly, as usual, but hopefully it'll clear up. Hollypaw gazed at the trees above the hollow as the sun bleached away the half-light. The sky paled to blue and the air began to warm. Beside her, Lionpaw shifted on his paws and J-Paw tasted the air. The birds began to sing again. Late-season bees began to rise sleepily from the grass around the edge of the camp and buzzed away on heavy wings. But, despite the sun on her pelt, Hollypaw was still shivering. Her scratched and aching body trembled beyond her control. What just happened? She turned to ask J-Paw. If StarkLand had hidden the sun, surely he must know something. But he was hurrying away to join Leafpool as she weaved among the anxious and wounded cats. Can you stretch out your forepaws? Leafpool asked Breakenfur. The Golden Tom winced as he tried. Shoulder wrench, Leafpool concluded. Go and wait by the half-rock. I won't be long. She moved on to Whitewing. The warrior's snowy pelt was darkened by patches of blood. Any sprains or wrenches? Just scratches, Whitewing answered. Then wait beside the warrior's den, Leafpool ordered. We'll bring you ointment as soon as we can. Thornclaw sprained a hind paw, J-Paw called. Help him over to the far end of the clearing and let him rest below the high ledge, Leafpool told him. She moved on, sending Hazeltail and Poppyfrost to wait with Whitewing. Hazeltail dropped into a crouch beside Whitewing. How could the sun disappear? The sky was clear blue, so it couldn't have been a cloud, Poppyfrost breathed. Clouds never make it dark and cold like that, Whitewing added. Leafpool looked at them sharply. You should be licking those scratches, not chattering like finches. She nudged Birchfall and then Berrynose towards Thornclaw. Wait over there. Birchfall limped across the clearing, keeping his swollen forepaw off the ground. I don't see why the StarkLand should hide the sun from us, he mewed indignantly. Berrynose hopped alongside him, a hind paw held out gingerly behind him. WindClan should never have started the battle. It serves them right if StarkLand are angry with them. Hollypaw glanced at her brother. He was watching the clan. Are you okay? I'm fine, he mewed. Didn't he want to talk about the vanishing sun? You're very quiet. Yeah. Lionpaw glanced up at the high ledge, where Millie was picking her way down the tumble of rocks. Briarkit swung from her jaws. Daisy followed, holding Toadkit. Let's help them, Lionpaw suggested. He darted away towards the high ledge. How did he have so much energy left? Hollypaw felt weighted by with exhaustion, and the scratches and bites that covered her body, though not deep, were stinging. Sighing, she followed. I could have walked down by myself, Toadkit flailed his paws crossly. Keep still or we'll both fall, Daisy rebuked. Daisy's rebuke was muffled by his scruff. She jumped down the last few paw steps and looked back at Millie. Are you okay? Millie nodded. Briarkit was dangling wide-eyed under her chin. It isn't always like this, Hollypaw wanted to tell the tiny kit, not sure if he was old enough to understand. Linepaw reached out a forepaw to steady Millie as she scrambled down into the clearing, stones cracking behind her. We'll bring the others, he promised. Thanks. Daisy put Toadkit down, and he bounced away, fluffing up his fur. Watch out! Daisy shut her eyes as he careered straight towards Graystripe. The Grey Warrior sidestepped him. Why don't you go make sure there's enough moss in Millie's den, little one? He meowed. Okay! Toadkit raced away into the nursery. Graystripe blinked at Daisy. He's obviously not too shaken. Daisy's pale eyes darkened. He just thinks it's in another adventure. She sighed. Perhaps it's better if he does. Graystripe took Briarkit from Millie and followed Daisy to the nursery. Millie padded beside him, pressing her pelt to his. Linepaw was already bounding up the rocks. Hollypaw scrambled wearily after him and followed him into Firestar's den. It was dark inside. Hollypaw almost tripped over Rosekit, crouched in the entrance. Behind her, Longtail was trying to hush Bumblekit. The tiny gray and black striped Tom was wailing for his mother. Longtail ran his tail gently over him. Shh, wake up your sister. Hollypaw could just make out Blossomkit curled against Mousefur's belly, sound asleep. Don't disturb her! Mousefur waved Hollypaw away with her tail. Graystripe can fetch her down later. Longtail nudged Hollypaw's shoulder with his nose. His blind eyes were round with worried. Did you see what happened? He meant the vanishing sun. Yes. What does J-Paw say? Mousefur asked, her eyes gleaming in the half-light. Interesting that they asked what J-Paw said. Wanted, like, they were asking about J-Paw instead of Leafpool. Linepaw shrugged. He doesn't always tell us what he learns from StarClan. Hollypaw caught his eye. Is he thinking what I'm thinking? If they were really more powerful than StarClan, J-Paw should know what the vanishing sun meant. Linepaw looked away. Perhaps she'll share dreams with them tonight, she mewed hopefully. Mousefur wrapped her tail around Blossomkit. I hope so. Hollypaw grabbed Bumblekit by the scruff and swung him into the air. He squeaked with surprise and churned the air with his tiny paws. Rosekit backed away. I'm not being carried down. Oh, yes, you are. Linepaw scooped her up and headed out of the cave. Her paws scuffling the ground with tiredness, Hollypaw followed him to the nursery, where Graystripe was waiting to bundle the kits inside. Blossomkit's sleeping, she told him as she passed Bumblekit over. Pain flashed from a scratch on her neck. Mousefur said you can fetch her later. Graystripe nodded and disappeared into the brambles. Cinderpaw trotted over. Are the kits all right? Linepaw! Leafpool called from across the clearing. Take Foxpaw out to fetch more cobwebs. She was smearing pulp over a cut on Honeyfern's shoulder. Foxpaw came bounding over at the mention of his name. I know where there are some really big cobwebs, he mewed. There's a hollow log just outside the entrance. It's full of them. Linepaw glanced at Brambleclaw. The ThunderClan deputy was standing below the high ledge while J-Paw pressed a sticky poultice onto a wound in his side. Is it okay to go out? He called. Leafpool needs cobwebs. Yes, but be careful, Brambleclaw warned. As Linepaw and Foxpaw headed away, Leafpool turned to Hollypaw. There are herbs piled beside the pool in my den, she meowed. Take them to Whitewing and the others. You've had enough training to show them how to chew them up and lick them into their scratches. I know how to do that, Cinderpaw mewed suddenly. Hollypaw blinked. How? You're not a medicine cat's apprentice. Leafpool stopped wrapping cobwebs over Honeyfern's wound. She spent so long in the medicine den. She must have picked it up. She waved Cinderpaw away. Go with Hollypaw and help her. Just be careful of your leg. I will. As they headed for the medicine cat den, Hollypaw noticed that Cinderpaw was hardly limping. How's your leg? She asked. Much better, Cinderpaw mewed. I don't think I could do every battle move yet, but it won't be long till I can. The swimming helped just in time, she added somberly. They padded past Squirrel Flight. The dark orange she-cat was sitting awkwardly at the edge of the clearing, her haunches drawn up with one hind paw jutting out. Hollypop nodded a greeting, but Squirrel Flight only stared dully back. Hollypop felt uneasy. Has Leafpool checked on you? Not yet. Squirrel Flight's mew was taut. Something's wrong. Squirrel Flight glanced down and saw that the sand around Squirrel Flight was stained dark red. Blood. You're hurt! Her tiredness forgotten, she darted to her mother's side and sniffed at her pelt. Fresh blood was oozing from below her chest. Squirrel Flight's forepaws trembled, and she dropped into a crouch, a groan jerking from her as she moved. Paws pattered behind Hollypaw. What's wrong? Sandstorm was pressing in beside her. She's bleeding, Hollypaw whispered, feeling her paws go numb with alarm. Groaning again, Squirrel Flight rolled onto her side, revealing her blood-soaked belly. Sandstorm gasped. Why hasn't she been seen to? She flicked Hollypaw with her tail. Fetch Leafpool. Hollypaw stared at her mother. Squirrel Flight was panting, her flanks fluttering unevenly. Now! Sandstorm shoved Hollypaw away. Leafpool was squatting down at the far side of the clearing, chewing herbs. Squirrel Flight's hurt! Hollypaw didn't have to say any more. Leafpool was already on her paws and racing towards the she-cat. Hollypaw chased after her, skidding to a halt as Leafpool crouched and rolled Squirrel Flight over with one paw. With her other, she carefully parted the dark orange fur belly. A deep claw gash ran from Squirrel Flight's chest to the top of her hind leg. Jesus. Blood was flooding from it, pooling on the sand beneath her flanks. Hollypaw pressed her muzzle against Squirrel Flight's cheek. She's hardly breathing. Her mother's eyes were beginning to close. Stay awake! Hollypaw begged. She spotted Lionpaw and Foxpaw returning with wabs of cobweb hanging from their jaws. Thanks, Darklan. Over here! Lionpaw darted to his mother's side. Gimme those. Leafpool dragged the cobwebs from his mouth and began patting Squirrel Flight's wound. She beckoned Foxpaw over, taking his cobwebs too. Go to the pool in my den, she told him, not looking up. Fetch soaked moss, quick as you can. Lionpaw was staring at his mother in horror. You too, Leafpool growled. Quickly! Lionpaw and Foxpaw darted away. Jaypaw must have heard the commotion. He left Brambleclaw, his paws still wet with ointment, and began weaving his way through the wounded warriors. Brambleclaw watched him go, surprise lighting his eyes, then looked past him and saw Squirrel Flight. He charged around the clearing, Jaypaw's paw was crumbling from his flank as he ran. He stopped beside Hollypaw. What's wrong? Belly wound, Hollypaw whispered. How'd it happen? Sandstorm shook her head. She was fighting beside me on the shore. I thought she was okay. She was never down for more than a moment. Brambleclaw crouched beside his mate. Don't leave me, he begged. Squirrel Flight's eyes flickered open at the sound of his voice, then closed again. He nudged her with his muzzle. You'll be okay. Leafpool won't let you die. Hollypaw stared hopefully at Leafpool, but the medicine cat was too busy working on Squirrel Flight's wound to look up. Jaypaw slid in beside her and began holding cobwebs in place as Leafpool applied fresh padding. Lionpaw returned and dropped a wad of dripping moss beside her. She snatched it up and began washing away the blood. Fetch more! Squirrel Flight didn't flinch at the cold water. She was too deeply unconscious. Hollypaw leaned in closer. She's gonna be all right, isn't she? Brambleclaw started to lick Squirrel Flight's cheek. Sleep well, my lovely. I'll be here when you wake up. What's happening? Firestar was staring down at Squirrel Flight, his eyes round with shock. Get back, all of you! Leafpool suddenly snapped. Blood roared in Hollypaw's ears. She's gonna die! She stepped back, numbly, and brushed against Brambleclaw. Her father was trembling. Hollypaw? Leafpool was staring directly at her. Go to my den and fetch oak leaves. Oak leaves. Oak leaves. I know, my lovely. She tried to focus, terrified she'd forget, her mind in a whirl of panic. In a medicine cat's den, she reached the gap in the wall and dragged out a pawful of leaves. Shifting through them, she separated out the oak leaves. At least they were easy to recognize. She picked them up in her jaws and hurried back to Leafpool. Do you want me to chew them up? She offered, dropping them beside Leafpool. Jaypaw can do that. Hollypaw stepped out of the way. Lionpaw was staring down at his mother, his eyes lit with fury. He wants to know who did this. She realized she was trembling like a kit. She closed her eyes and felt Sandstorm press against her. If anyone can save her, Leafpool will. Hollypaw leaned against Sandstorm, thankful for her warmth, while Leafpool and J-Paw finished packing Squirrelflight's wound. Leafpool looked up. I've done all that I can, she meowed. It's in the paws of StarClan now. She picked up a wad of moss and held it to Squirrelflight's lips, letting the water drip into her mouth. After a few moments, Squirrelflight swallowed. Was that a good sign? She needs a warm nest, Leafpool explained. But I daren't move her yet, just in case her wounds open up again. Hi, Ash. She gazed at Hollypaw and Linepaw. Can I rely on you to build a nest around her? Hollypaw nodded. Of course they would. Fern, moss, feathers, whatever you can find, Leafpool went on. She needs to stay warm and still. She got to her paws. J-Paw, watch her, and report to me if there's any change. I have to see the other wounded cats. She looked at Brightheart, who was moving among the warriors with a bundle of herbs in her mouth. Brightheart can't manage all this alone. Firestar stepped forward and rested his muzzle on Leafpool's head. I'm proud of you. I just hope that I've done enough, Leafpool murmured. Firestar turned to his mate. You must be exhausted. You should eat and rest. Sandstorm's green eyes flashed. She's my kit! I'm not leaving her. Hollypaw felt a thorn-sharp stab in her heart. She's my mother, too! She can't die! Come on. Hollypaw felt Lionpaw's tail brush her flank. Let's build her a nest. Foxpaw and Icepaw sat huddled a tail length away. Had they been watching all this time? Can we help? Foxpaw mewed. We need to find stuff for a nest, Lionpaw told them. Anything soft and warm will do. As Foxpaw and Icepaw hurried away, Hollypaw noticed that Firestar and Brambleclaw were already below the high ledge in deep conversation with Graystripe, Dustpelt, and Thornclaw. Their eyes were dark and their voices low. She pricked her ears, but she couldn't make out what they were saying. Surely the battle's over, she meowed. What's left to talk about? The battle wasn't won or lost, Lionpaw pointed out. The vanishing sun stopped it. Now that the sun's back, WindClan might return to finish what they started. They can't! Hollypaw bristled in shock. StarClan has told us we mustn't fight. If it was StarClan who hid the sun, Lionpaw muttered. Foxpaw came hurrying back with a large feather fluttering from his mouth. Will this do? He sneezed, and the feather shot into the air and drifted onto the ground. It's a start, Lionpaw mewed, but I think we should look outside the camp. We'll need a lot of bedding. Hollypaw glanced at Squirrelflight, laying on her side. Her flanks were hardly moving, and she looked small and cold. J-Paw was pressed close to her, his muzzle resting beside hers, as though he were listening to her breathing. Come on, Lionpaw urged. He led the way through the entrance and out into the forest. Hollypaw gazed around in surprise. It's so peaceful, as if nothing's happened. The sun streamed through the branches, and birds sang in the trees. A few leaves drifted down. Leafall drew closer by the day. Many of the ferns were browning into bracken, too brittle and too hard for a nest. She padded after Lionpaw, her exhaustion returning. Here and there, a flattened clump of grass or a scrap of fur caught in bramble reminded her of the battle just fought, and the sting of her wounds began to prick her once more. These ones are soft. Lionpaw stopped beside a green swath of ferns. He began to tug at a frond with his teeth, hulling it out of the ground. Hollypaw grabbed another in her jaws and heaved it out of the clump. They worked steadily until they'd gathered a thick pile. Foxpaw! Lionpaw called out to their denmate. We're coming! The undergrowth rustled, and Foxpaw and Icepaw appeared with great wads of moss hanging from their jaws. I think we've got enough, Lionpaw decided. He hooked his paw over the pile of ferns and began to drag them back towards camp. Hollypaw followed, shoving the fronds together when the pile began to loosen and scatter. She was so tired that the edges of her vision blurred, and the forest seemed to sway around her. We would have won anyways, Lionpaw puffed as they neared the barrier. Really? Hollypaw wasn't so sure. Swerving wearily to avoid a thin trail of blood, she felt as though all 4 clans had lost something, though she wasn't sure what. Squirrelflight hadn't moved when they reached her. J-Paw was still curled beside her. He looked up as they neared, then stood and stretched. Put the moss under her, he instructed. The ground's very hard. Hollypaw pushed one bundle under Squirrelflight's shoulder and the other under her haunches, then gently patted a swath around her belly. Her mother's fur was stiff with dried blood and smelled of herbs. Daisy had brought feathers from the nursery, and while Lionpaw bunched ferns around Squirrelflight, Hollypaw laid the feather over her to keep her warm. Yeah, one feather is definitely gonna keep her warm. When they'd finished, J-Paw settled beside her again, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Come and eat!" Brambleclaw called them over to the fresh kill pile. Only a few morsels remained. There hadn't been time to hunt today. Lionpaw patted over, but Hollypaw stayed where she was. She was too tired to eat, her belly hard with grief. She wasn't going to leave her mother's side again. She curled up beside Squirrelflight's head and, breathing softly against her mother's cool ear, closed her eyes. Please don't let this battle take her away from me. Chapter 18. Since when does the concession make a sound? Since today. I fixed it so it'll hopefully... I don't want to jinx it, but I'm pretty sure I fixed it so it won't not refresh. Like, it'll refresh every time, hopefully. Chapter 18. Oh, it's Lionpaw. He's a little bonkers crazy. Lionpaw swallowed his last mouthful. He had hardly tasted the mouse, but it had quieted his rumbling belly. He glanced up at the sun, shining high in the clear blue sky. I have fixed the naked worm. I have! I fixed the naked worm. I fixed moving the worm and moving the chibi. I fixed the stars and the hearts, so they do different things now. They'll be triggered for each model specifically. So if you, yeah, so I took away the stars and I added confetti. Oh, it does take a second to load. Oh, okay. Hold on. It's fine. It just crashed, but it's oh, look, it's working. Oh, you can't see it. It is fixed. It's just, you know how it is. YouTube Studios, yeah. Hello. There. Okay, do it again. It hesitates when you first do it because it's a big file, but it works. I swear it works. Isn't it cute? And the confetti too is really cute. Thank you, flowers! I want to do the stars. The stars are gone, but now it's confetti. Oh.